Hello, Max here, and today I wanted to try my hand at a game review. Icy is a story-driven 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up that has been getting a lot of attention. It's one of those games that jumps up and down in your face screaming, "Look at me, look at me, I know I'm a computer game, I'm self-aware." Well, congratulations Icy, you have something in common with 2-year-olds and Donald Trump. Breaking the fourth wall isn't new and it really isn't all that clever. I mean, you don't shuffle your way out of the local pantomime praising the phenomenal writing because the "oh yes you did" and "she's behind you" scenes were groundbreaking. It's not even a new idea to gaming, but gaming as a medium still seems to be young enough that when it happens everyone explodes in their pants and can only say the word meta for the next 4 days. I don't want to put the game down, far from it, and its narrative is part of what makes Icy a lot of fun. I just wish people would have a little perspective. I suppose I shouldn't be mad at people. It's the result of so much bloody mediocrity out there that when something genuinely interesting comes along, everyone puts it on a pedestal higher than Peter Molyneux's opinion of himself, in a vain hope that developers will take note and we might get more. Icy is an enjoyable experience, but that's it. Just an enjoyable experience, and as I spew this cynicism at you, I'm trying to figure out why. Admittedly, a lot of my cynical attitude is trying to play up to this channel's namesake, but I also want to provide a fair review of the game to help you decide if you want to drop your hard-earned £9, $11 or €12 on it. As you can see, it has a beautiful art style and the animations look incredible. It's capped at 60 frames a second and honestly it doesn't need to go any higher. The controls are fluid and responsive. I didn't try playing on keyboard because I'd rather feed my left testicle to an underachieving slug than play a 2D fighting game with WSAD. Fortunately, my Xbox pad worked perfectly. The combat is the usual fast attack, slow attack affair, and repeatedly pressing these different speed attacks in varying patterns will produce the different combos. It will be very familiar if you've played any kind of combo-based fighting game before. You earn cash by killing enemies and finding secrets, and this cash can be spent to unlock new combos or increase the damage of the existing ones. Icy can also dodge attacks with a dash ability that has 5 charges displayed across the bottom of the screen. These charges seem to regenerate so fast that most of the time it feels like she can dash forever. If you can time a dodge within the first few frames of an enemy's attack animation, Icy can teleport to the enemy and attempt to rip out their core. This will heal Icy and has a chance to spawn energy crystals. Icy can then consume these crystals with a charge attack that damages every enemy currently spawned. The combat is spectacular to watch and at first incredibly satisfying. Chaining together combos and dodges to dance around the level demolishing the mechanical bad guys feels really good. And there is a challenge there if you want it. On hard mode, sometimes a misstep could mean getting chain crowd control until you die, but that does just make it all the more satisfying when you win. However, be warned, you cannot change the difficulty once locked in during the game's tutorial. I actually had to reset my save data and start again because I wasn't happy with the speed I was progressing. When you die, you respawn at the last checkpoint, which can be several fights before the one that killed you. I did say the combat was satisfying only at first. Once you get over the spectacle of it and settle into the game's rhythm, I found it lacks depth. You have all these combos available, but you rarely have the time to do more than 3 quick attacks before you need to dodge an incoming enemy. It might just be that I'm bad at the game and it's up to the player to create the space they need to do more, but I wasn't able to. There are some suitably big and enjoyable bosses to battle along the way, but I would have liked a little more enemy variety. Don't get me wrong, there is still some satisfaction in timing everything right and getting the visual reward as the screen shatters into colour and debris, but I was glad the game ended when I finished it. You could argue that it was perfectly paced, and maybe it was. It took me a little over 6 hours to grab every achievement in the game. I'm not a completionist by nature, but you will need to grab every achievement if you want to experience the full story. I've avoided talking about the plot in any detail because any specifics I tell you would be something of a spoiler. You are guided through the world by a Chinese narrator. Yes, the game is subtitled, which generally isn't a problem, but there are some rare occasions where he is talking while you are fighting. This makes it a little hard to focus on the combat and read the subtitles at the same time. But it only happened a couple of times and it wasn't a huge problem. The key to the game is you do not need to follow the narrator's instructions. I'm not going to say any more than that because this is most of what makes the game interesting. However, it could also be what holds the game back. I play single-player story-driven games because they immerse me in a world and allow me to experience a narrative like no other medium can. I am a part of that world, and whether it is an illusion or not, I feel like I am directly impacting the things that happen around me. Icy intentionally breaks your immersion, encouraging you to think of it as a video game in order to find everything you need to realize the full story it wants to tell. It makes the game feel very systematic. You're incredibly aware you are finding all the pieces to a puzzle because that's what you need to do to finish the game. When I did finish it, I felt a lot more like I had achieved something and a lot less that I had experienced something. Icy is a fun 6 hours that I personally think is worth the price tag, so I recommend it to anyone that would enjoy this style of combat and exploring an interesting narrative. We've now had a few of these so-called meta games, and Icy is a good example, but I think this is an idea that has now been explored, and it won't be long before it's considered gimmicky. Icy was released on the 17th of November 2016 and is currently available on Steam. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of this kind of content and any way you think I could improve it. I've not been able to get into Season 3 of Overwatch yet due to a bad back. Yes, I am an old man, but I would like to get back to Road to Masters soon. You can follow me on Twitter @TotallyFutile, and there is a link to the Cynical Discord channel in the description. I stream when I can on twitch.tv/cynicalnerds, and our Patreon campaign can be found on patreon.com/cynicalnerds. Until next time, take it easy, and I'll see you soon.